The Eagles getting ready. Thursday night football right here on 97.3 ESPN. And by the way, their upcoming schedule for next week is out. Nick Sirianni will talk on Sunday. The coordinators will talk on Monday. And Adam Caplan on Tuesday, it will be Nick Sirianni talking for the final time before they play the Cowboys for real. And the Cowboys made some news yesterday, if you didn't hear.
Mike, good to be with you. Yeah, I told you through text, Jerry Jones is the friend you didn't know you needed. It's just for, I don't know if it's comedy. I don't know if you even heard his press conference last night with his son.
He gave an 11-minute answer.
He gave Belichick filibuster. It was pure comedy. I call it the Jerry double talk. It was classic Jerry Jones. But look, I want to get into this one because one of the cool things about this segment is if I talk about it like on television for 3 minutes, I get 15 minutes to talk about this stuff. So, Mike, this is one of those trades or transactions where NFL people love to give an opinion. So that's kind of what I've done over the last over 24 hours now that the trade has been completed. And the prevailing thought was, don't get carried away that, oh boy, how they traded to the conference. The point that most NFL people brought up to me was, you've got to get better value for a generational talent, Mike. He's played 4 years, Micah Parsons. He just turned 26 in May. He's a generational talent, 4-time Pro Bowler. I know we could argue the validity of making the Pro Bowl, but 4-time Pro Bowler, but 2-time All-Pro in 4 years, Mike. You don't find these guys in every draft. You might be lucky to draft someone like this every 10 to 15 years if you're lucky. And to do this, it's one thing if he had been 30 years old. This guy's just 26 years old. So to get 2 drafts, I had them, believe it or not, I had it sort of this week. The text I sent in wasn't based on getting Micah Parsons because I didn't know that was going to happen.
Right.
But you add Parsons now next to Rashawn Gary. Now, that was their problem. Like, why did they make this trade? They had one with Rashawn Gary. They needed more. Lucas Van Ness, who was a first-rounder who the Eagles liked in 2023, he was drafted for a different scheme. They were running a 34 then. Now they're running a 43. He doesn't fit. They needed an edge rusher, and they got an elite one. So from the Packers standpoint, I get it. From the Cowboys standpoint, Kenny Clark is a good football player. I found it comical. How many times did Jerry Jones talked about, we have to stop the run? That's the basis for this trade. He is delusional. Like, I'm not denying they have to improve against the run. We know that. But that can't be the basis of this trade.
Well, he said, one of the things he said too, Adam, was, we got to get better against the run. And I don't know if that's his little shot that, Parsons not great against the run, but we got to get better against the run. And that set up the whole expository he gave before that, because we are very proud that we paid Dak Prescott and we have CD and we paid him, and we need to stop the run so we can get the ball back to the guys that we've paid money. And that's kind of his way of saying, I value those guys more than I valued you.
Well, this is where the double talk comes in. He said repeatedly before the trade, I had a deal on the table with Micah in April. It was for just over $40 million. Now, this is for the.
You sure it wasn't with Michael?
What's that?
You sure it wasn't with Michael? Because he messed his name up the entire time.
I know. And Jerry's in his 80s. God bless him. I mean, he's not. See, this is the problem, Mike. Yes, he did play at Arkansas. He did play football. Most people don't know that. But he has no personnel background. You talk to any offense coordinator, any defensive coordinator, or really more defensive coordinators, they would say to you, we love it when a team decides they're going to run the ball, try to run the ball against us. Because the explosive plays generally come out of the passing game. You don't want to get beat by the pass. Hey, well, you saw what Steve Spagnuolo did in the Super Bowl. He did everything he could to stop Barkley. He did. And Hurts and Kellen Moore dropped the bomb on him. So the bottom line is, Mike, they got 2 first-round picks, which probably will be in the mid to late 20s, Mike, let's be real. And they got a good player who's aging, who's turning 30 next month, in Kenny Clark. That's all you got? They should have got Rashawn Gary back, but they didn't.
Well, obviously, the fallout from that trade is now impactful everywhere because it impacts the NFC East, it impacts the game on Thursday night, and it impacts the NFC. So let's start with Dallas and what's left over for them as they now, Jerry Jones says, we think it makes us better this year now.
I laugh.
Which is crazy.
Mike, now, okay, here are their 4 edge rushers. We like Donovan Arazaku on Inside the Birds. We've talked about him a number of times. Second rounder at Boston College, a local area kid. They've got Sam Williams, who had the off-the-field problems in college. He's been an underachiever, but he's very talented coming off a major knee injury. They've got Dante Fowler, who's a good player, by the way, but you'd rather at this stage of his career be a backup. They've got, really, Mike, 4 edge rushers. Now, here's where they're going to be good. Osa Odigizua is a really good tackle. Now you put Kenny Clark with him. They'll be strong up the middle or stronger. Now, why else did they make this trade? Mozzie Smith, the first rounder of Michigan 2 years ago, has been a bust. And he was there to stop the run, and it hasn't happened. That part is absolutely true. I wouldn't argue against that. That's part of why they make the trade. But, Mike, they have a decent 4 edge rushers, but they don't have that guy. And when you don't have that guy, it's a problem. And the draft is until next year. And if the draft goes if the Packers are going to be as good as most reasonable people think, Mike, it's going to be hard for them to do it. And as a matter of fact, Marshawn Nealon's the other draft pick who they like, who was second runner last year, Mike. For fantasy, Mike, I like Dak Prescott. Why? They're going to have to throw to win. They have no running game. Javonte Williams is not the player he once was. Jadon Blue I like, and Miles Sanders. So if you've got your fantasy draft, and Prescott, most people won't draft him as their starter. I would. I think Dak's going to be really good, but with his injury history, you better have a backup.
Well, Adam, obviously Green Bay now, they add Micah Parsons. This is a team that everybody liked last year, and they kind of disappointed a bit. They make the playoff. They lose to Philadelphia. Does he put that defense now over the top?
Yeah, so what they'll do is, Mike, they're going to move Lucas Van Ness inside, who was a guy I just talked about earlier, with Gary and Parsons at the edge. They run a 4-man front. Devontae Wyatt, who was a first rounder in 22. Edgerrin Cooper, Quay Walker at linebacker. They're fantastic. Where they're weak is at corner. That's the one weakness they have. They're elite at safety. They're really good, man. Xavier McKinney is a top 5 safety. He's phenomenal. Javon Bullard's a player who can play nickel and safety. Nate Hobbs I've always liked, but he's better at nickel. He's a corner came over from the Raiders. Keyshawn Nixon's been a great story development. One of the better special teams returner. He's now a corner, but he's not what you call a plus-level corner. If you're going to go against the Packers, if you can protect, you're going to have to throw against them to win.
You look at Green Bay and the defense, and they add him, and you take a look at the NFC as a whole. Does that put them above anybody else that they were below at this time yesterday?
That's a great question. To see the books, if you're following me on X, I put the numbers up of pre-Micah and the post-Micah Parsons trade to Green Bay. So depending on which sports book you looked at, they were either anywhere from 8th to 12th. Now they're about the 4th highest odds to win the Super Bowl. It's a game changer. Now, the way I'll have to do my power rankings for next week. For Ed Inside the Birds, we'll do them, and I'll probably do an audio version. I would rank the NFC now. See, I already had Green Bay win the division. I probably would go Green Bay, Washington, Philly, Detroit. Tampa's got injury problems. I don't believe in any of those NFC West teams to win it, Mike. Did
you say Dallas. You have Washington ahead of Philly?
Slightly, yeah. I'll give you a little bird's eye view here. I think it's real tight between Philly and Washington. We're going to talk more about this next week when I give all my divisional picks. Me, Andrew, and Jeff we're going to do a little show on that next week. We'll give all of our picks by division. But this is a game-changing player. I like that they addressed the receiver problem. They need explosiveness. The Packers did. Matthew Golden. Jaden Reed's a good slot. Romeo Dobbs is a good player. Dontavian Wicks I like. Tucker Kraft and Musgrave are two really good tight ends. Josh Jacobs is phenomenal. Their offensive line's not elite like the Eagles, not even close. They have a nice offensive line, not great. But they're right up there, Mike. And this Parsons deal puts them over the top and puts the Cowboys near the bottom.
Yeah, I know everybody's kind of looking at this and saying, what is everybody thinking? But one thing it does do is it affects the top end of the NFC. Now, it also possibly affects Dallas. Now, did you look at Dallas with Parsons as a possible playoff team and this knocks them off the map?
I had them as in the two polls that I turned in, I think I had them out of the playoffs. In fact, I know I did. I had them as the 8th team. See, their corner group is not very good. All sorts of injury problems. They're really good at safety. They're not good at linebacker. They got problems, Mike. They're just between the 4 edge rushers I mentioned earlier. They'll be okay, but they're not going to be even close to elite. Mm-hmm. They're going to have to throw to score. Now, let's not forget George Pickens, CeeDee Lamb, Jake Ferguson. They have, and I like Jalen Tobin as a third receiver, and Kavontae Turpin, who the Eagles know he's a pretty good football player now. The Cowboys have problems at left tackle with Tyler Guyton. They're hopeful for week 1 with his injury. Terrence Steele has not been the same player he once was. Tyler Booker is their rookie, their first-round pick out of Georgia. Out of Alabama. We got to see how he plays. He's a rookie. So, Mike, they got questions. They're, to me, I'm going to lower them. I gave them 10 wins, I think 10 wins out of the playoffs. I'm putting them down to 8, Mike. And with Dak Prescott's injury history, if he gets hurt, it's over. Joe Milton, unbelievable arm strength, awful accuracy.
All right, we're talking with Adam Caplan, Football 4, before we get out of here on this Happy Hour Friday. The Eagles, I know it's the depth chart is compiled by the PR staff, but I guess a couple things that stood out. I want to get your take on them real quick. At linebacker, you had Campbell and Trotter. Do we think they split time there?
We fully expect that Jahad Campbell will be starting. Now, here's the question, which we don't know. Who plays a nickel? Trotter's a little bit more instinctive in coverage, so that could happen, but the main back is going to be Jahad Campbell. That was already decided. We're not expecting a surprise there, Mike, to be honest with you.
Adoree Jackson and Jacorian Bennett were listed as the co-starters.
Yeah, we're expecting not a lot, but Jackson lined up there for the last 2.5 weeks as the primary starter. Now, we should mention this. We're dropping we actually dropped a couple things. Greg Cosell's back with us on Inside the Birds, and we did a really cool breakdown. Greg broke down about 8 to 10 players for us. Our Patreon members already got the show. I think that show's going to drop on Monday. It's a Chalk Talk, where they're going to get some of this. And I could tell you, Greg thinks eventually that Jacorian Bennett's going to win that job because he's just a better football player at this point than Adoree Jackson. Adoree Jackson, if you have your druthers, he's a third quarter at best. But because it didn't work out for Ringo, and they weren't able to get that big time corner to go against opposite Mitchell, this is what you have right now. It is what it is.
All right, the last one was safety, where they have both Sidney Brown and Makuba. Now, Makuba's injury might even keep him in question for Thursday night. They signed Marcus Epps as well.
Yeah, Marcus Epps is signed to the practice squad. So Marcus Epps here, he knows the scheme. I know he wasn't coached by Vic Fangio, but he's playing in the scheme before Vic got here. Now, here's the thing. He's coming off the ACL injury, which he had in week 3 with the Raiders last year. He had a minimum deal with the Patriots. He was released. The question will be, Mike, and he's healthy as I understand it, Epps is. We don't know about Makuba for week 1. It's not good, Mike. He continues to miss practice. I'd be stunned if he's starting week 1 because he's now at 2 different injuries.
Right.
Vic Fangio is not going to want to play a guy full time if he's had not gotten enough practice time.
All right, there you go, Adam Caplan. Look at the Parsons deal. The Eagles to put their depth chart out. Also named 8 captains today as they get ready for the Dallas Cowboys. You can listen to the game right here on 97.3 ESPN. And, of course, the Inside the Birds podcast. You guys got all the coverage. You got some new shows and all sorts of stuff happening over there.
Real quick, we did announce, so I could talk about it, our latest show called Birds Weekly. We'll start in week 2. Derek Gunn and the Hall of Famer, Ray Dinger. We love Gunner, And Ray is the best. And what a show. Want to thank Jeff Mosher for putting this together. Now, obviously I know both of those guys, but it was Jeff's concept. We're a big concept company. More announcements. Greg Cosell's back with us with Patreon. Every Tuesday night, Tier 3 Patreon members, they run it. They get to ask Greg anything they want. Greg absolutely loves it. Patreon.com/Inside the Birds. You'll love it. And you get to meet people around the country. A lot of people become friends through Patreon. It's really cool. I'm so glad we did Patreon, Mike, and we're back for year number 8 on Inside the Birds.
Unbelievable. That's an awesome show, too. Derek Hunt and Ray Didinger. So everybody out there, make sure you check out that show on the Inside the Birds platform. And, of course, Football at 4 right here. Adam Caplan on this Friday edition. And by this time next week, we will be recapping the Eagles game.
Yeah, in fact, the game was last year. It was on Friday night, so we didn't get we previewed it in Brazil. And then, yes, we will review it, Mike. We'll see what happens.
All right, man. We'll talk to you on Tuesday. Happy Labor Day weekend to you.
Thanks, man. See you.
All right, Adam Caplan, Inside the Birds. There you go. Ray Didinger and Derek Gunn teaming up for a new show over at Inside the Birds. If you want to get R. Diddy and his commentary on this Eagles season, check it out over at Inside the Birds.